5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Showtime!
Hello, welcome to Geeks Assembled. I am the third Doctor. I am a different iteration, not played by John Pertwee, but I am here with three fellows who are going to discuss the Time Monster. It's the 50th adventure, I think. No, 25th adventure. Anyway, it's pretty spectacular, and it's the first in our the end of this September. We're discussing Atlantis in its many forms, and this one also had the Master played by Roger Delgado and Joe Grant played by Katie Manning, of course. And so they are amazing, and I just would like to hear your thoughts, your opening thoughts on this. Let's start with opening thoughts with Harry, and do feel free to discuss the book in this, Mr. Librarian.
Thank you, my dear doctor. As always, a pleasure to be seeing you and anyone else who's tuning in today. Time Monster for me is, in many ways, a very good story involving the monster, because for a change, we get to see the monster doing something different than usual. I mean, of course, there's his plans for universal domination and everything, but for a change, we get to see something we so very rarely get to see. Brought out somewhat in the book, but especially brought out on the screen. Get to see the monster as a charmer. But we're so used to seeing him as someone who is bound and determined to use whatever methods he can. This time, instead of going full bore with the destruction, we get to see a charmer. We get to see someone who's not afraid to use a little bit of a schmoozer, as you would say, to make his point made. And this is something we are not used to seeing with the monster. As far as the story itself, a very well done story. I mean, Sloman and Barry Letts came up with a superb idea. This is, in fact, Doctor Who's third visit with Atlantis. And it's a very well done story. The second one from the Pertwee era that we've done with Atlantis. And it's also got some tie-ins with a favorite science fiction movie series of mine. And all I gotta say about that is two little words. Imperial March. If you are a science fiction fan, you know what that means.
What's the reference? I don't know why you refer to that, the Imperial March, please.
So one of the things as a science fiction fan is that some of the people in this movie actually were in the Star Wars series. Yeah. Our Minotaur was played by none other than David Prowse, who went on to eventually play Lord Vader in Star Wars.
Oh, really?
Yes. Despite of all that making of everything, it was David Prowse who was playing Vader, went on to play Vader, played the Minotaur in this story. So as I said, we have Star Wars references in this story as well. So I said, it's something that if you're a Star Wars fan, you might want to tune in, pick it up on DVD, or you can call it up on demand. Do so. You're going to be in for a little bit of a treat here. Good. And with that, I shall pass it on to our next Mr. Lee Wilson.
Well, go for it, Lee.
Well, I always say 6 episodes are a bit too long. And this one is not an exception. This could have been told in 4 episodes, but it's an enjoyable story. It is an enjoyable story. Yes, we have a different version of Atlantis compared to the Troughton story, Underwater Menace. But I love Pertwee. I think Pertwee is awesome. Katie Manning as Joe is awesome. The Unit family are awesome. This, for me, is the best. I would personally would say it's the best Delgado master story because it is a Delgado story. He has a lot to do in this, more than the Doctor. He sort of the master takes centre stage in this story, which isn't a bad thing. Yeah, it just shows you Delgado's capability as an actor, and he, as I said, he's awesome. I'm using that word a lot. Awesome. Yeah. Dave Prowse is the Minotaur. Yeah. We also have I can't remember the actor's name, but played the King of Atlantis. Also played Kiampo in Planet of the Spiders, the regeneration of Pertwee's Doctor. Yeah, it is a good story. I enjoyed it. Maybe 2 episodes too long. As I say, 6 episodes. I always, when I go into a Doctor Who story, I think, 6 episodes. Can it be done less? And usually, the fact is, it can be. It's just a little bit of filler here and a little bit of filler there. But yeah, shall we sort of skip over the Kronos monster costume? I think that is terrible. It could have been done a lot better. A guy in a white suit with flappy wings. I'm sorry, if that is supposed to be the everybody's supposed to fear Kronos. To me, that does not really scare me. But it is 1972. But yeah, I liked it. It's a good story. You say you've got the unit family. You've got Brigadier. You've got Joe. You've got the Pertwee. You've got Delgado, and you've got Ingrid Pitt. That's a plus. Only for about an episode and a half, because this story only takes place in Atlantis for about an episode and it's not, for 6 episodes, Atlantis is only in there for an episode and a little bit. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's the fans are not so keen on this story. I can understand why. I can really understand why. But we also get the story of the hermit. The Pertwee, with the hermit sitting under the tree on the mountaintop. I mean, that is a brilliant segment of Doctor Who history. I mean, it's not it's not all war, it's not all Daleks. It's just a tranquil story of a hermit living on a hill, talking to the young Doctor, and he looks at this flower and he sees everything clearer after looking at this flower. That is so awesome. I said awesome again. Yeah, it's a good
word for Lee. It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. But yeah, it's a good story. But as I say, it's just a tad 2 episodes too long for me. Over to Susan, or the Third Doctor, we now call her.
Here is Alex to discuss the Time Monster.
Yeah, it is 2 episodes too long, but it's still very good. The actors are good, the cast is good, the dialogue is good. It's just the editing and the pacing that unfortunately need a little bit of work. Also, there's a lot of talk of sexism in this story as well, which I guess that depends on your point of view, because everybody's equally smart and everybody's equally in trouble in this story as well. The Atlantis is good. I understand why they probably cut it a little bit because of the monster of Peladon or Peladon stories. But it is kind of funny how they have like 3 or 4 different sort of sets. They have the lab or the school where these experiments are taking place. They have Unit there. They have the two TARDISes, and then they have Atlantis. So it's trying. It definitely is trying, but it's probably could have done with tighter editing. Probably could have done with better direction. But you also have Yates and Benton actually doing more than just yes or no sir type of stuff. You also have the young guy that aged about 90 years or whatever, 80 years, but thankfully they bring him back. It's kind of interesting how the woman scientist says, well, try not to be bitter, but it's like, well, you try aging 80 years in a day and see if you're not going to be in a bad mood. So that was kind of interesting. Jo was important to the story. She's a little whiny, unfortunately, but she wasn't bad. So it's interesting. I mean, it actually is a very good story. It's just a little overly long, so they probably could have done a little bit more pacing and editing. But the issue is, then you would have missed one of Delgado's best performances. And it's so funny how he thinks he's so clever when you start realizing that he's making mistakes too. So that was kind of interesting as well. And I did enjoy the old guy not falling for the hypnotism like the people on Earth were. That was pretty good. So it's interesting. I mean, that's another interesting thing about Doctor Who, whether it's the new version or the old version, is they try to have a lot of settings. They try to do a lot of different genres. And if the dialogue had been slightly better, and if the pacing and editing had been slightly better, this probably would have been a really good episode. Not just a good episode, but a really good episode. It's interesting. But yeah, it is a long episode. It is a long story. And of course, you don't want to be watching it while you're in any bit sleepy, because you will fall because of the pacing. The music was there. It was a little loud, actually. So maybe that would actually keep you awake. But I mean, it's an interesting story. It has interesting dialogue. They probably just need to tighten it up a little bit. I did find that funny about the Kronos monster and the crystal, which I started thinking about Superman, the Superman films with the crystal, especially with the 70s and the 80s. Even I thought, it's too bad Terrence Stamp couldn't have been in Doctor Who, because he probably could have given, he's probably the only one that could have given Delgado a real run for his money. As far as the dialogue on the TARDIS, yeah, it's cute. It might be a little too cute. But again, that sets up the rivalry. I forget how many more stories Delgado was in. But if he's going to be, he is the master. He was one of the first, and I thought he was great, even with the salt and pepper, because he had so much style. He reminded me a little bit of either Terrence Stamp or Orson Welles. That he seems very nice, and then he turns on you in a second. It's not like the other masters where they're sort of cackling and silly and cartoonish. Where this one, he's scary because you think that he's civilized, and he really isn't. And that sometimes that's scarier than just somebody, constantly laughing and constantly, screaming and shouting. Delgado could turn on you in a second. And that was the other part that was kind of funny, that he thought he got rid of the Doctor. He thought he got rid of Joe. And they even mention it, that curse is foiled again. But unfortunately, if it had been Anthony Ainley, it might have been more enjoyable if you wanted to be really silly. But then you would have lost the coolness of how the Master deals with the old man, with the woman who clearly was flirting with him, and all this stuff on Atlantis. So it's good that they had Delgado, because he was very smart and very suave, and that's scarier than just the cackling of the Anthony Ainley and Eric Roberts type. It wouldn't have worked. It would have been more silly. The TARDIS, though, was a little silly. The TARDIS sequence was a little silly. But that's the other thing. I mean, this is back in the old days where they weren't afraid to have 50 episodes for a TV show or 40. And now they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it now because they'd be too worried about it running too long. So, it's a little tough, but it could have done with a little bit more editing, a little bit more, reasonable with the music and a little less sexism because it was like, wow, I don't know why it's in our face today. Because there was almost no dumb people except for the guy that got hypnotized by the master. Everybody else was usually pretty smart, so I don't know why they were so determined to rub that in the audience's face. Because the woman scientist wasn't dumb at all either.
No.
So I don't understand. I could understand like a minute, but it went, like 6 minutes about that? It was kind of like, thought it was a little overdone. I understand they wanted to make a point, but it was just a little overdone. It's a good story, though. It's just be prepared for 70s TV. Be prepared for kind of a long story. But, I mean, the acting is actually pretty good. So,
So, excuse me. In my humble opinion, this is a really super amazing show. And I love the interplay between the Brigadier and the Doctor in this. I love the interplay between the Master and the Doctor in this. And I mean, it's really going places. It has a car chase scene, but it's a friendly car chase. It's not one of those like shoot 'em up, like we're gonna get you car chases. And there is it's got a lot of different time elements in it. And I love the name of their contraption, the Tomtit. That makes it a chuckle every so often. And the interstitial time like device that they create that messes with them. This one, that's really fun too. And I love the little music stings. This one, that spins around and has tea on top. Yeah, that's hilarious. And so, and the other thing that I really like about this episode is that Benton became a baby, and they were feeding him a little bit of mushed up Sammy and tea, and the kid was like, I don't like those, and was crying. And then this adorable little baby, just a cutie. Anyway, and then he they reversed that process. And they never said reverse the polarity, which you'd assume because they had a couple processes that needed to be reversed that the Doctor would have suggested they reverse the polarity, but he didn't, and it went on without that. But they did do the cliche curse is foiled again. But anyway, in that moment, they had this, as they reversed the direction of the thing, Benton was suddenly grown up and he was naked. And that was pretty fun and stuff. But you didn't see much of him. But anyway, what you saw was nice. So I liked it, and the Brigadier was great. And the other thing that was really cool about this episode is the Master, voice playing, role playing the Brigadier. So you could tell that he'd been practicing that a long time, and so that was pretty fun. Like he's sitting in front of the mirror, the Master, and in his very most sincere voice, imitating the Brigadier. And I just was like, well, maybe that's because he loves the Doctor and he sees that the Doctor is, spending all of his time with this Brigadier, and So like, that's just my theory on why he can do such an amazing Brigadier impression. Anyway, yeah. And Ingrid Pitt was great, and the scientist was great, and Joe was great, and of course, you know, I have to talk about the Brigadier a lot, but yeah. So the Brigadier was brilliant. I love the part where he's slow running and the doctor runs up behind him. It was like the $6 million man run. Anyway, here's uh here's Alex again to give his favorite moments, and then we're gonna go backwards around the thing. So prepare yourself.
I mean, again, there's a lot of things to like about the episode. I mean, it's just that it was too long. It needed tighter editing. The lab is good. The master's good. The scientists are good, except for the overlong about the sexes and
I guess I
conversations.
did notice that too.
The Yeah, I mean the Atlantis part is good as well. There's a lot of things to like in this episode. It's just that the 70s and the 80s where you had to watch a TV show. You couldn't just walk away or see like the beginning or the end unless you want to miss all the dialogue. And of course, what happens to the master at the end is pretty interesting as well. So no, it's not bad. It's just that it's different from today. Today they probably would have cut 20% out of it, and then you would have lost the interplay of the settings, and you would have lost the monsters, and you would have lost the Atlantis. So I mean, there's a lot of good parts. It just needed tighter pacing and editing. That's all.
All right. So let's go to Lee, and then we're gonna go back to. Then get ready, Harry. We're coming back to you.
As I said, yes, it's too long. It should have been 4 episodes, but back in the Pertwee era, most of these stories were a couple of episodes too long. Still enjoyable. Got to be, but for me, it's Delgado what makes this story. But also as well, you've got Ian Collier, who played Stuart in this story, the scientist who aged.
Yeah.
Ian Collier returned to Doctor Who a few years back, a few years after this, playing Omega in Arc of Infinity. Also played Omega again in the audio drama called Omega for Big Finish.
Mm-hmm.
No longer with us. He passed away a few years ago. But if you ever get a chance to listen to Omega, the audio drama, just give it a listen. For me, I always like the units. I've always liked the unit stories. You've got the family, you've got Yates, you've got Benton, you've got the Brigadier. I love all that. For me, it's when Yates was coming against all these characters from the history. The master was bringing all these characters from the history to stop them getting to the place they were supposed to be going. A knight on horse and round heads. And then it was a bomber from the World War II. Brilliant storyline. Brilliant. And then you get Jo on her own because the Doctor had been dispersed by and she has, I'm going to say it, but Jo has got one set of balls on her to stand up to the master and say, I don't care what you want. I don't care what you're gonna do. The Doctor's no longer here. I'm on my own. Do what you want to do. Do your damnedest. What a brilliant character. Jo is a brilliant character. One of my favourite companions. Katie Manning. She is, I'm going to say the word again, awesome. So, oh yeah, she's still playing Jo, and she's still up there. So yeah, the only thing what I don't like about this story is the length of the story. It's sort of padded out for a couple of episodes, and of course the Kronos monster could have been done a lot better. that yeah, I know. But apart from that, for me, this story is Delgado's story. Over to you, Susan.
All right, and Harry, knock it out of the park. There, librarian.
I will attempt to do so, my dear doctor. I gotta agree with Lee on this one. This is a Delgado story. I mean, this is one of Roger's last appearances as the monster. He comes back in Frontier in Space, and unfortunately, shortly after filming that, he dies in a traffic accident in Turkey. But Rod, I gotta agree with Lee on this one. This is a Delgado story. This is a Delgado monster story. I mean, hands down. I mean, nobody could have pulled this off as well as Roger Delgado could have. It was just his story all the way around. I mean, the charming, suave, sophisticated, I mean, stuff we normally don't expect out of the monster. But we're expecting usual games and such with the Doctor. Yeah, there's some of that, but we get to see a side of him that we don't normally get to see. And it's even brought out in the book as well. I mean, Terrence did the novelization. It's one of his last books he did for the Pertwee era. And he just knocked it out of the ballpark. I mean, he took it to a broad stuff that you would normally not get to see. I mean, this is basically, I gotta admit, Lee hit it on the mark with this one. I mean, this was a Delgado monster story, hands down. I mean, you try and put Anthony Ainley in it, just wouldn't have worked. You probably put anyone else in there, it just would not have worked, because this interplay between John Pertwee and Roger Delgado, two men who knew each other, two men who enjoyed being around each other's company, it just worked oh so well. You could not have put it in with anyone else. No way, hands down. But it was a Delgado monster story. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Well, I love your passion, and I would argue that the time monster Kronos, the winged white creature, was not to frighten the 70s people who were watching it. He was created to frighten the Atlanteans. Like, that was the deal. So it wasn't about frightening somebody who had seen Journey to the Center of the Earth or had read Jules Verne. This was someone to frighten the people of 3,500 years ago. Anyway, that's my opinion on the subject. But anyway, he was a little sort of angelic to be a monster, and so that's my costume commentary on that. He was a bit angelic. It would have been great had he been like some sort of praised angel instead of supposedly a god. But the other thing that was really cool was the goddess face at the end. That was really cool too, with all the sparkles and all the, so you got the idea that this was a really super omnipotent being who could be anything he wanted to or she wanted to. And so, that's fun. I like it when, I like gender stuff too. So, yeah. So anything else? Let's open the floor. Anything else you guys want to talk about regarding this?
One thing I mentioned earlier, and this is one thing I think fans should appreciate, is the fact that if you're a Star Wars fan, this is one Doctor Who story you might want to sink your teeth into, because you've got our favorite Sith Lord, Darth Vader, her being played by David Prowse as the Minotaur in this story. And the Doctor does deal with the Minotaur in this story. So, as I said, if you're a Star Wars fan, this is one Doctor Who story you might want to tune into, because it's going to give you a little something to look forward to, give a chance to see a very young David Prowse in action.
So, are you saying that the Doctor does battle with Darth Vader and the Master in this?
Since you could say that.
Fantastic. That's quite the best thing ever.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
But for me, I mean, as we said, this is a Delgado story. This is a Master story. But for me, it just shows how cowardly the Master can be, and scheming as well. Because we're at the end, when Kronos is saying, "You can go, Doctor. You can go. We're going to sort out the Master." He comes running out the TARDIS, hand on his knees, pleading. What a coward! What a coward! It just shows you when things are against the Master, he is a coward. Yeah, but for me personally, Delgado is the Master. But yeah, I was good friends with Anthony Ainley. He did his sort of version of the Master. What he was sort of given the saying, "You've got to do this, you've got to do that." Anthony Ainley did what he was told to do in the series. You know, people don't like that, but that's what he was told to do. But Delgado will always be the original. Not in the audios anymore. Not in the audios, of course, but the original on TV. And a very, very close second is Anthony Ainley. But Delgado is so scheming, so evil, so sexy.
Mm-hmm.
He is. What a Master. And I don't think anything...
Suave. You guys are right. He's a suave so-and-so. What Alex said. He is suave as hell.
He's a suave son of a bitch. That's what he is. He knew how to play it. It's a pity he died so early on in his life.
When I lived in Turkey, it was super dangerous to drive to even walk in Turkey. It's just a dangerous place.
And the death of Delgado had a lot of influence on John Pertwee's portrayal of the Doctor in the next season. The season after, should I say, because he just didn't want to carry on. Because as it was said, the family were gone. Joe was leaving. Delgado was dead. He just felt that the family was just not there anymore. He just didn't want to do it anymore. And
they were besties.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the thing, the unit dating conspiracy, but part of that, the little internet thing that happened was also the fact that people were actually, putting Pertwee and Delgado's Master together in slash fan fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much rapport. It bordered on,
Yeah, but it's like, as it's been said in interviews, Delgado was so evil and so, really bad on TV as the Master. But as Pertwee said in interviews, he'd rather just sit in front of a fire, reading the paper, wearing his slippers, smoking a pipe. That that was Delgado. But
that's so suave.
I hope. I mean, it's nothing against Delgado, but I hope Big Finish do something with Delgado's Master, because they have really triumphed with Trim Trelaw sort of portraying Pertwee's Doctor in the audios.
And Kolshaw,
Please,
the
please,
Brigadier
please.
back to life.
Yeah, I'm bringing back the Brigadier back to life. Please, please, please. I mean, it's nothing against Delgado, and if you're a Delgado fan, yes, but please get a brilliant actor to bring back Delgado's master vocally. I am up for that. I really am. Over to you, Susan.
Yes, please. Agreed. And do you want to say add anything else, or do you want to go on to?
Pretty much done with it.
Okay, let's finish this by final say and score. Harry, go for it.
Rating, story, a 7, solid 7. Turns sick book. One of the last ones he wrote for the Pertwee era, with his last one's period, an 8. That's my rating. I'll let the fans decide they want to agree with me or disagree. But I love the story. I thought it was a great one. The interplay between Pertwee and Delgado is just great. I mean, you just could not ask for a better pairing for Doctor and Master.
All right, and Lee.
Well,
Final say score.
I always think that this story gets dissed and gets a low rating in fans' opinion because of two things. The length of the story should have been 2 episodes less, and of course of the Kronos monster. Everybody laughs at the Kronos monster. But apart from that, it's a damn good story. It really is. So for if I take that into account, the length of the story and the pathetic Kronos monster, I'm going to give this an 8. It's an enjoyable story. It's an enjoyable story. Over to you, Susan.
Not a bad score. Not a bad score. And so, Alex, what would you final say and score?
I'm gonna give it a 9 only because the story was trying so hard with so many characters and so many locations. So I'm gonna give it a 9.
And you kind of fancied Ingrid Pitt, didn't you?
Yeah, she was cute.
I knew it.
Well, I mean, many people will like her, for goodness sake.
Anyway, yeah, so I wasn't far wrong about that. Yeah, so I will give this, I'll agree with Alex. I'll give it a 9. And I love Pertwee. There's so much good about this TARDIS team and this unit team and this, the interplay between his doctor and the master was really, really super cool, super amazing. And Katie Manning was astonishingly cool in this one. She got to fancy dress up so hard. I mean, she had a wig better than I have a wig, so that's amazing. And of course, Nicholas Courtney you can't say enough good things about him. He is too perfect for me. Anyway, I just, I'm really glad that we got to review the Time Monster, and I look forward to reviewing more of the unit stories and stuff as we go along in the Third Doctor. But I'm pretty sure that we have some Peladon to,
2 Peladon stories.
Yeah, 2 Peladon stories to get to. Anyway, enjoy this podcast. Please share it, like it, subscribe to our channel, and join our Facebook group. And also, I'd suggest that you like my John Pertwee and my Brigadier page. Give them a like if you would, please, because you can't beat this. And we also have a lot of unit and Brigadier and John Pertwee groups to join if you feel like it. And also, tune into the Twitter and and if you follow Lee on Instagram, you'll get the images and a little keep up to date with what we're up to. And you can share your affection for this ginormous period of time of these guys. And thanks for watching Time Monster with us, and enjoy.